Little Fleabay edition here today. And I've been a little lax. There's a lot of stuff going on around here in life that's getting in the way. But nonetheless, I thought we better do one this morning because the first thing up I see when we look at Shapers is there is a new listing for an Atlas 7-inch Shaper machine, pre-owned, $17.99, free local pickup. So the description says, complete and running Atlas 7-inch Shaper machine. Looks mostly original, nice original paint and patina. I never cleaned the patina surfaces. Fascinating vintage machine. Excellent for the home shop machinist. Excellent. Model maker, steam engine builder. Has original square drive hand crank for table movement. Alright, so there's several things that are interesting about this machine, and I think we'll just look at the big pictures here. We just look at the big pictures. Now it does have a crank on it. It does have the square handle. That's the only accessory with it. Now there's good and bad about this machine, but it's an interesting machine. It does appear to be pretty much original. I don't see anything that's really wrong with it that way. The switch down is placed down here on the side of the motor. Now I don't really understand the reasoning for that because it would originally mount right up here. Now there's neither guard here, so it's missing both guards. This is a later early model machine from appearances to me. And the reason I say that is this is a Model 7. This is not a 7B. So this is a less desirable machine. This is the first iteration of this machine that they produced. And if you look at the base casting here, it only extends here and there's no foot coming down off of the table. So the later machines extended out to just beyond the end of the table, and there's a support foot that goes underneath. They went to that because this machine was not as rigid as it probably needed to be. Now, when you stop and think about it, the Atlas machines are light-duty machines anyway. So when we've got a machine that's got less rigidity than what the later production models had, why this machine probably really had some problems with some flexing here in this area without that support on the table. Now, I've never seen one of these machines in person, and I've studied them a little bit, but the reason I say it's a later model machine is this power table feed mechanism here is the later style. This is a Zamac housing on the outside. The really early machines, this was a cast iron housing. The whole assembly was cast iron. I suspect they changed to this style for a couple of reasons, and this is a weak point on this right in here because they'll crack out. You'll see them cracked right in this area, which makes them non-functional, which is why guys have come up with these piece of crap 3D printed ones and stuff like that that they think are worth millions of dollars. Same way with some of the ones that are machined out of billet stock, why they think they're gold. So anyway, that was a weak point on here. I suspect that Atlas also used this as a fuse, much like they did on the lathes for the outboard lead screw support. They were designed to break. It was a less expensive part to replace at the time that these were being manufactured. So that's just something to be aware of. Those are the major differences between the machines, is this support foot underneath. Otherwise, as far as I know, they're virtually the same. Now, one thing I did notice that I've never seen before, and it shows it in a later picture. Let's see if it shows it in the next picture. Now, this is the other side, although it does show it here too. No guards. These are the original pulleys, it looks like. Now, this on the motor, I'm not sure if that's an original pulley or not. That looks awful shiny to be original. But otherwise, this is a relatively clean machine. Now, we've got no knob here. We do have the post sticking out on the side of the oil pan, so this machine was probably never dropped. A lot of times these would fall over and it would break the castings here, break the guards, and that was a lot of the times the reason the guards were missing, and part of the time the oil pans are missing, or the oil trays. So otherwise, pretty much the same as a 7B. I see we're missing the knob here for this side cover. There's no tool post on it. These are all things. Now, one of the things that is interesting to me, and you can't really see it from this picture, that's very possibly an original motor. It's got the same patina and everything as the rest of the machine. Now, there is pictures along here that stand out to me, and there's two of them, one on either side, and we may have to go back and look at them again. Yeah, see, this is an earlier model table from the front. The older ones had the supports on down through here with the boss and were more enclosed. I believe it was a straight piece of the casting right across here, and that's where the lock for the split cutters for the table support go. Here it is right here. This badging, and this is a badging that's on the door too. This is a decal. I've never seen one of these decals. The only ones that I've ever seen have been the either aluminum or brass riveted on emblems that are fixed with 2 rivets, one on either side here, just like that. So this is an early model decal, and like I say, I've never seen this. Otherwise, I think everything else is virtually the same. Now, value-wise, as far as I'm concerned, not even close to $1,800. This is a standard scale here. Everything else pretty much looks the same. If you're wanting a completely original machine, and this one's ragged enough, it'd probably be worthy of a restoration if you want an original machine for a showpiece. For a functional machine, it's going to be a functional machine as is. You know, you're not going to have the same rigidity and support that you're going to have with there's no tool holder with it. So there's virtually no accessories. Now this is not original. This has been probably broken off and repaired, would be my guess, because this originally had the handle, the lathe style handle that came out and up. If you wanted an original machine, probably as a restoration project, which would be fairly involved, is it still worth $1,800? I really don't think so, and you know, I'll leave it to you to value its actual worth for a original machine. For a working machine, this is being a 7 and not as desirable as a 7B, this is a $700 machine. You know, I don't feel it's worth any more than that. So anyway, I did find that interesting. I thought that was worth the time to look at. If we go on down, there's nothing really interesting since we've talked last time. There's a few little parts that are here, but we've talked about them before, and I'm not going to spend the time. I'm not going to waste the time to look at them. If we look on it at mills, there's nothing really here that intrigues me. There's collet attachments or milling attachments and things like that. Now here's this same Atlas MF horizontal milling machine, rare vintage machine tool, 110 volt pre-owned, $2,400. This has been relisted at least a couple of times. This is that machine that I think started out at $3,000 or $3,500. You know, it's still not worth $2,400. You know, I don't remember what I valued it at. It's probably, you know, well, let's see, this had the goofy handle on it. I don't remember. I remember this machine, but I haven't gone back and looked at it. And I don't remember what I valued it at. Probably in that $1,000, $1,200 range. You know, the handles are goofy here, and it's not a, you know, it's not a real clean machine. Had a bunch of extra gears and stuff here with it that who knows why we have extra parts. We talked about that before. So, you know, not a bad machine, but it's not, you know, $1,200 machine. Pays you money, takes your chances. So, got a goofy switch on it. You know, it's not original. I think this is when I looked at the, yeah, see, missing the cover on the back. Your coolant pump went in here. Later machines had this cut out. The early machines, these were a solid casting. They had no provisions to use that as a coolant system. So Dunlop motor, yeah, you know, $1,000, $1,200. Anyway, it's been relisted a couple times. It's obviously not worth $2,400. So oh, there's a couple other things here. There's a M6-51 undercutter attachment. This was for armature undercutters. Complete attachment. They want $200, but there's no motor with it. You don't have anything. All you've got's the basic castings. You know, it's rare enough it's worth $100, but you got to find a motor. You got to adapt it. This is a waste of money. You know, either you've got the whole assembly or you got nothing. And in my opinion, you know, these are one more attachment to have with your machine, but they're complete working condition. They're worth $150. You know, they're not worth $200 for a partial assembly type of thing. So anyway, that one was interesting, somewhat. Now this is one that will be really controversial. I guess not controversial maybe, but anyway, I'll go on down here. There's some stuff here, but nothing that's new that we haven't looked at before, or nothing that amounts to anything. Somebody's had some MFC horizontal mill lock knobs cast in brass, I think, or something, and he's selling rough castings, $30, no bids, free shipping. You can look at that if you want. You know, they're a rough casting. If you're going to that extremes, why not build your own? So that's to me not a real viable thing for your machine. Now this is interesting. Atlas MFC mill, 1-inch arbor for horizontal mill. Guys had some machined up or machined some up apparently for available. He wants $700 a piece for them. Now the description says Atlas MFC mill, 1-inch arbor for horizontal mill, hardened high strength alloy, comes with complete set of spacers and retaining collar, made in USA. Now this can be a little bit misleading. Hardened high strength alloy. Now, is it one of the hardenable alloys and he had it hardened and then it's been ground, complete with set of spacers and retaining collar? Or is it a pre-hardened material that he's just machined, whether he's lathe turned, whether it's been turned and then ground, which I still feel is the proper way to do them. That's the way they should be built. Now when we look at these are a good looking part. We'll just look at the big pictures. The machining on these looks very good. I think these are a very nice part. When you look at the machining involved with them, if they are indeed hardened and ground, why then, for the time and effort and materials involved in them, value-wise, they're worth $700. If they're just a pre-hard material and it's been turned and ground, yeah, you still got an awful lot of time in them, but are they worth $700 if it's pre-hardened, if they haven't actually been sent out and hardened and then cylindrical ground? Okay, so look at the position of what they've been done. And like I say, these are good looking arbors. I've got no complaints with the machining on these, whether they've, you know, even if they are just turned, they've been turned very nicely. Value-wise, they're nowhere, for on an Atlas machine, for on an Atlas milling machine, they're nowhere near worth $700 to invest on an Atlas milling machine. You know, for what you got with the machine, the accuracy that you're going to get out of these machines, for the quality of them, and for what you should have invested in your machine, you should be paying no more than $250 for a turned and ground new production arbor. You know, if you're paying more than that, you're wasting your money. You're throwing good money after bad, no matter what you think, no matter what kind of accuracy you think you're going to get or what it is. Light duty machines for the home shop, it's not worth investing $700 in an arbor. So, you know, I have no doubt that probably somebody will. I think you're very foolish for doing that. But anyway, my opinion. So that was interesting to me anyway. Whether it was to you or not, I don't know. And the only other thing we've got here is Atlas lathes, and I don't know that there's anything really worth spending time looking at. There's a few parts here. Most of them are overpriced. All of them are overpriced. There's a 6-inch later model square head, 618 here. They want $675 or best offer, and I'm not going to go in and look at this one. It's on a bench. Whether the bench is with it or not, probably not. But anyway, the lathe is there, $675. I think that's a little bit high, you know. And in this day and age, why the prices have gone out of sight on new production imported things and everything, I think, you know, maybe a $500 machine. But anyway, there was another one down here. Atlas 24-inch lathe plus extras, $2,500, no bids, free local pickup. Condition used, and we'll look at the big pictures. The description says Atlas 24-inch lathe model 10100, excellent pre-owned and maintained condition. Extras include chuck package, cutter, drill, chuck kit, steady rest faceplate, center taper 4-inch chuck mill attachment, 4-inch chuck mill attachment, 3 and 4 jaw headstocks, and heavy gauge steel cabinet. And they've got, it's a pickup only. You must have the QR code eBay sends to you on your cell phone so that I can scan it to verify it was picked up and the transaction was completed. That's something I'm not familiar with. I just find that interesting that they have made it to that point, and I think that's a good deal, but I just found that interesting. So there's only 2 pictures here of this. You know, it's on a steel cabinet. manufactured steel cabinet. It's a standard 6-inch square head lathe. It's been used and abused. You can look at the paint being gone off of it. It's scraped up and everything. And those are the only two pictures right there. Doesn't show any of the tooling with it, anything like that. No, 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 no. Even if it's well tooled with everything there, 800 bucks. 800 bucks. And we want 2,500, and it'll sit there with no bids. So anyway, that's all I've got there. Now I did have, I'll look very quickly here, but I don't remember seeing anything else that was earth-shattering. I did, and of course I take some of these things, and I was looking yesterday at this stuff. I saw part of this stuff yesterday, and I had immediately received a couple of seller offers here. Let me get back to them and see what they showed me. Oh, there was a drawbar for a 3C for the Atlas Atlas 10 12-inch metal lathe 3C collar with cast hand wheel 9-752W. I don't know that that's a factory hand wheel. I could be wrong. They want $229 for it. What's the description say? Absolutely nothing. Free shipping. Yeah, it should be free shipping. Another one of those should be hand delivered. Hand wheels. These are a straight piece of tube threaded in one end affixed to the hand wheel on the other end. The inboard end is threaded to accept a 3C or a 3AT collar. Usually 3Cs, I think, is more common now. It's got a centering collar here, and it's got a hand wheel. You were seeing for a while, guys were advertising just the tube threaded on one end, and you cut it to length for like 75 or 100 bucks, something like that. And then you put a hand wheel and a collar on the end. This is worth 75 bucks. Maybe 100, but I don't think so. It's worth 75 bucks. Nowhere near. See, that's not an Atlas number. This is a cast iron hand wheel that came from someplace, or it may be somebody else's hand wheel that fit a South Bend or something. Who knows what? I have no idea. But the idea is you can do the same thing with a standard hollow tube and thread it, which you can do in your lathe. It's not rocket science. You can research it and find out what the threads are and length you adjust to fit your lathe. See, we're threaded here in the end, and that's all it is. It just accepts a 3C collar or a 3AT depending on what you're setting up. And long tube, this center space or this centering spacer here, you can turn standard spacer, nothing rocket science there, and that's all it is. So good little shop project, skill builder. The gist of this is they want $229 for it. I think I received an offer with like $19 off or something, which happens quite often. I pretty much ignore these offers for the most part. That was the first one, or that was the second one actually. And then this milling arbor, this 1-inch milling arbor, I put it in my watch list just to see what would happen, and I've already received a $49 offer for it. I think that's what it was. Let's see. Yeah, they want $6.99 for it. There's no way, Yeah, they offered $49 off. Seller's offer $6.50. No, it's 250 bucks is what that's worth on an Atlas mill. Like I say, the quality looks pretty good. The machining looks pretty good on it. I don't have a problem with anything on there. I don't think this was turned. I don't think this was ground. I believe this was turned. When you look at the markings on there, those look kind of like uneven polishing markings, not like you'd get on a turn or on a ground surface. So I believe, my speculation is this is probably a pre-hard material that they've gone in and turned. And there's a fair amount of machining here. There's a lot to be done. The machining on it is good. I don't have a problem with that at all. Now, what are the dimensions? How well in spec is it? I don't know. but it's not worth $700 on an Atlas machine. You know? And if it is indeed just pre-hard material that's been turned and then polished, why, 250 bucks. That's all it's worth. Sorry, guys. Anyway, that's what we got. That's all we got for the day. So anyway, hopefully you find that a little bit interesting, especially on that Atlas 7-inch Shaper. So comment suggestions, leave them in the comment section for me below. And as always, guys, thanks for taking the time to watch.